What's up everybody, welcome back to Nintendo Land, and today we are taking all of the mainline Mario games and ranking the first boss in all of them. And now when I say mainline, I mean simply no Paper Mario, no Mario & Luigi, no spin-offs, simply the main Mario series. Also, while ranking these bosses, we counted the very first boss, not mini-boss or kind of enemy that played as a boss within the levels. So Birdo does not count in New Super Mario Bros. 2, for example. But before we get started and before we dive in, stop what you're doing and make sure A, you're subscribed, and B, make sure that you have notifications turned on if you're already subbed. It's best to stay up to date on all the things that I post, especially with some upcoming projects. So make sure that bell is turned on and make sure you're getting your notifications to whenever I post. Starting off our list at number 17, we have King Totemesu. Now, this is like a Sphinx within Super Mario Land, and it's very simple to beat. Very simple, in fact. It repeats what Mario does in the original Super Mario Bros. With Bowser. You get past the enemy and, of course, hit the switch to drop the bridge. It's kind of almost a spitting image of that same fight, but this time with a giant Sphinx instead of Bowser. Nothing really much to talk about there. Next up, now we can move to Super Mario Bros., where Mario fights Bowser for the first time. In fact, it's not even Bowser, it's a fake Bowser. It's a Goomba pretending to be Bowser. If you shoot it with a fire flower enough, you will see that it's an imposter. But even while fighting the real Bowser, this fight just really isn't that fun. There's not much going on, and there's really not much that you have to do in order to dodge a whole bunch of things. You dodge some fireballs, watch out for him jumping, you jump over his head and hit the axe, or you just spam fireballs at him until he's dead, which isn't a lot. It's just not that much of a boss fight, really, than just a run and dodge. We now go to Super Mario Land 2 to fight Big Bird. Nope, that's the wrong one. But this bird obviously is just a giant bird that flies back and forth, and Mario has to jump on its head. There's really nothing much to it. He doesn't even really attack besides swoop down for Mario to jump on his head. And it's very, very, very easy to do so, as it's very choreographed and you can tell exactly when he's going to move as slow as he's moving. So it's not that great of a boss fight, but at least he's actually fighting the boss now. Coming in at number 14, we have Fake Bowser from Mario 3D Land. What makes this one unique is it's like fighting Bowser from Super Mario Bros. In a 3D landscape, and it's actually really unique because you have to dodge his fireballs in a different way this time while getting to the bridge in the first place, and then trying to dodge Bowser's attacks up close, which is tail swipes and also high jumps, which can be kind of difficult and actually kind of interesting the first couple times you do this. But once you get by him and hit the giant switch, you'll also once again find out that Bowser is in fact a fake. So I guess you could technically say this is just powered up Goomba. And you thought we were done with Bowser again. Of course not. Number 13, we have Bowser from New Super Mario Bros., which returns in the same fashion as the original. You have to get past him to hit that switch, and what makes this one kind of unique is Bowser actually kind of fights back. He jumps up and down a lot more and shoots fireballs in a better direction in order to hit Mario. It's still incredibly easy, but it's a little bit better of a boss fight. Mario has more options, and Bowser's actually aware. He even chases Mario after the switch once you're on it, and he can actually hit Mario if you're not quick enough. Plus, we also get to see Bowser turn into Dry Bowser. Now, taking a step back from Bowser and looking at some of his minions, we have Larry Koopa at number 12 from Super Mario Bros. 3. Larry Koopa uses his wand to shoot magic orbs or kind of circles around the stage, which is pretty easy to hit Mario if you're not paying attention. But he moves back and forth and even turns into his shell form in order to hurt Mario, which is technically a better boss fight than the rest so far, since you're technically fighting him. You have to jump on his head 3 times until you get his wand. Now, to be completely honest, we did have Super Mario World's Larry Koopa fight in here, but then we forgot it and it messed up the whole list, so we didn't technically include it here, but he would be around this part of the order. Anyways, it isn't that, special of a boss fight, so you're not really missing much. Next up, we have Roy Koopa from New Super Mario Bros. 2. This time, you have to let Roy run into the wall in order to make him dizzy and then jump on his head, which is a little bit more interesting than so far any of the other bosses on this list. And the walls come closer each time you hit him, which is also a very interesting factor. So this is a little bit better than what we've seen so far, but still not ideal for a boss fight. And yes, it is the first boss fight, so you're not going to see much on this list in general. Now moving on to Larry Koopa from New Super Mario Bros. Wii at number 11. Larry Koopa this time decides to have moving terrain, and it makes this boss a lot harder when everything is moving along with Larry, but Larry's not moving fast enough to make it that difficult. It is the first boss after all, so what do you expect? He does have his wand and he can shoot things at Mario, but it's really not that tough to dodge, but If it wasn't for the terrain, this would be a very average boss at best, but at least it does something a little bit different with the terrain. Number 9, we have Mauser from New Super Mario Bros. 2. Mauser is a lot different of a boss fight. You're not just jumping on his head 3 times. Instead, you have to pick up the bombs that he's throwing and put them on a platform that he's on in order for them to explode underneath his feet, which is actually a lot harder than it looks because sometimes the boom isn't big enough to cover the area that he's at, and sometimes you have to be very precise, but overall, it's a fun and unique boss fight to be the first fight in Super Mario Bros. 2. Well, look at this. Larry isn't the first boss of New Super Mario Bros. Wii. We have Lemmy, and Lemmy is actually pretty cool. He stands on a bouncy ball, which later grows to giant proportions, and he throws little bouncy bombs at you that you have to jump on or dodge as well before they explode, which is actually kind of fun to play around with. And as Lemmy is bouncing up and down on his ball and rolling around the stage, you have to time things up perfect in order to hit him. And like I said, the first phase isn't that bad, but his second phase actually is a lot cooler as well, as the ball gets gigantic, and it's kind of hard because you're prioritized to jump on these bombs. And not to mention the bombs get pretty big on the third round as well. This is just a good all-around boss fight, especially for a New Super Mario Bros. Game. Now, I know, King Bob-omb really isn't that difficult of a boss fight. You simply just pick him up and throw him back on the ground, and he really doesn't do anything after you. But I think it's actually kind of unique compared to the others. You're not really jumping on him or throwing anything at him. You're picking him up and tossing him, and at first it could be kind of confusing as you're throwing him off the mountain and he comes back. So it's just kind of like, what are you supposed to do? Until you realize I'm just simply supposed to throw him back on the ground. But I think I like the enemy design more than anything else. It's a giant Bob-omb King. It's just something different that we're not used to seeing within Mario. And on top of that, in the DS version, he actually throws bombs at you that chases Mario. I just think it's a good boss fight for a 3D environment. It's a good way to start off the game. Number 6, we have Dino Piranha from Super Mario Galaxy. This is a big step from where we've been on this list. This time you're fighting a giant Dino Piranha plant by smacking its tail and letting it hit him back in the head, which is actually a lot of fun for the first boss. You know, as he runs around this planet, you have to keep getting behind him and hitting his tail. And obviously it's a lot easier than his fiery counterpart later on in the game, but this is a really good start to a boss fight within the game and a really great way to start the game off. And you have to hit him about 3 to 4 times in order to completely defeat him, which keeps the boss battle moving at a good pace. Number 5, we have Topper from Super Mario Odyssey. This is a rabbit that plays kind of like the Bowserlings, but in a 3D space. And this time, he has tons of hats that he throws around at Mario. And he can have different spinning hats where he hides in one as he transitions to the next phase, and a big tower of hats on his head that you'll have to keep knocking down in order to get to the final hat and hit him himself. And later on, he gets a lot stronger and a lot better with more hats, but this is still a pretty decent boss fight to start off a Mario game. And then we move on to, yet again, another relative of the Piranha family, Peewee Piranha from Super Mario Sunshine. Number 4. Yes, Peewee Piranha is a pretty good boss fight to start off Super Mario Sunshine, and it's very unique unlike anything else that we've seen so far. You have to fill his mouth with water and then do a ground pound on his stomach in order for him to shoot the water out. Now, this isn't any way, shape, or form that hard, because all he does is slightly turn when he opens his mouth the next couple of times, but it's very unique for a boss fight. It's something that we've never really seen before, ever. Filling an enemy's mouth with water, it's just strange, but it works, because it's just something, like I said, very unique. And I enjoy this boss fight a lot, and I think these 3 Piranha plants do a really good job to start off the Mario games. Maybe they need to keep doing more Piranha plants in the future. And back again to the Piranha family, we have Peewee Piranha for number 3 in Super Mario Galaxy 2. This one's slightly better because it's fun to watch the egg actually crack on his butt as you're smacking it. And he also runs around the planet and you have to meet him on the other side, similarly to the Bowser boss fight from Super Mario Galaxy 1. It's a great callback to the first game, and it does a really good job to start the game off with a boss battle. Coming in at number 2, we have Bowser once again, but from Super Mario 3D World. Bowser has a sick new ride this time when he's throwing explosive soccer balls at Mario? Yes, Mario has to kick them back in order to break his car down completely and go along this giant path while doing so, which actually is kind of fun. It's kind of unique as well for a boss fight instead of trying to hit a drawbridge to drop Bowser in it or do any other type of crazy thing that Mario has been doing, like jumping on his head 3 times. So this is completely different, hitting soccer balls back at Bowser and trying to break his vehicle, which he eventually does so. And it's not a 3 hit, by the way. It's almost like a 7 to 10 hit thing that you got to do with the soccer balls, which keeps this a very interesting boss fight, and especially for the first one of the game. And even the fact that it might be one of the best in the entire game. And coming in at number 1, we have to have Theory Bowser from Bowser's Fury. So this is actually incredible that you start the game fighting Bowser as giant cat feline Mario. And off the rip, you're fighting giant Bowser. You know, it's just like, what's going on? We just started this game. How is this happening? But it is a fight for sure. It's actually one of the best fights I've ever seen within the Mario franchise, and you start the game off with one. Even though you fight this same Bowser like 4 to 5 times throughout this game's entirety, you start the game off by fighting him within the first like 10 minutes of collecting cat shines. And he is actually kind of difficult if you don't know what you're doing that early in the game. This is a really good first boss fight, as it doesn't even hold your hand really, it just tells you to go after Bowser and just start fighting. And it's really difficult, but once you figure out what to do and hit him about 2 to 3 times, he goes back into the ground so that you can fight him again. But of course, I always leave it up to you guys. What did you guys think of this boss battle? Is it your favorite out of all the first boss battles within the Mario franchise? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario and Nintendo in general. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one. See you guys.